Hi, my name is Courtney Woback, and this presentation is about botulism. So this is just an overview on the PowerPoint. So what is botulism, the background information on botulism, the discovery, the taxonomy, structure, pathogenesis, epidemiology, and treatment/prevention of botulism. So what is botulism? So botulism is a rare neuroparalytic disease that is caused by the botulinum toxin. There are many symptoms connected to botulism. Those symptoms include drooping eyelids, facial weakness, difficulty swallowing, dry mouth, trouble breathing, nausea, vomiting, and paralysis. And as you can see in the image, this person has drooping eyes. So what causes the paralysis? As you can see in the top image, the toxin produces skeletal muscle paralysis by producing a presynaptic blockade to release the acetylcholine. Recent studies have pinpointed the site of action of several types of botulinum neurotoxins at the nerve terminal. Clostridium. So this is just this is a background information on the species Clostridium Botulinum. So botulinum toxin is a toxin produced by Clostridium botulinum bacteria. So the characteristics of this bacteria include gram-positive, rod-shaped, anaerobic, and spore-forming. So gram-positive means that the C. botulinum bacteria have a thick peptidoglycan wall. This is what makes it a gram-positive bacteria. And the rod-shaped like bacteria, maintain their cylindrical shapes with remarkable precision during growth. However, they are capable to adapt their shapes to external forces and constraints such as growing into narrow and curved confinements. And anaerobic. Anaerobic bacteria are bacteria that do not live or grow when oxygen is present. And spore-forming bacteria include Bacillus, aerobic, and Clostridium, which we're discussing now, anaerobic species. The spores of these species are dormant bodies that carry all the genetic material as is found in vegetative form, but do not have any active metabolism. So the discovery of botulism. So Justin Kerner was a German poet and district medical officer between the year of 1817 and 1822. Kerner published the first detailed and finalized description of symptoms of the foodborne botulism. Kerner did not succeed in defining the questionable biological poison, which he called it sausage poison or fatty poison, although he established the idea of possible therapeutic use of the toxin. So, following a botulism outbreak succeeding a funeral dinner with smoked ham in a small Belgian village of Elizales led to discovery of Clostridium botulinum. And this was 8 years after Kerner's work. This was discovered by Professor Emile Pierre van Amergen in 1895. So the taxonomy of the bacteria of Clostridium botulinum. So taxonomy is usually ranked from lowest to highest, but I have it as highest to lowest. So its kingdom is bacteria, the subkingdom is Posibacteria, the phylum is Firmicutes, the class is Clostridia, The order is Clostridiales. The family is Clostridiaceae. The genus is Clostridium, and the species is Clostridium botulinum. So the structure. So where you can see the heavy chain, that's the binding domain of the structure, and the middle area, which is green, that is the translocation domain, and the light chain is the catalytic domain. The BONT-B molecule consists of 3 structural domains corresponding to the 3 functional domains, catalytic, translocation, and binding, which I just discussed in the figure. These 3 domains are arranged in a linear fashion with the translocation domain in the middle. The catalytic domain has a compact globular structure consisting of a mixture of alpha helices and beta sheets. The translocation domain is mainly alpha helical, and the binding domain comprises 2 subdomains. Even though the primary sequence starts with the catalytic domain, we discuss the domain structures starting from the C-terminal end corresponding to the subsequent mode of action of the toxins. So this is types of botulism. So there are several types of botulism. It's a total of 5 botulism, and it is infant botulism, wound botulism, inhalation botulism, adult intestinal toxemia, and iatrogenic botulism. So infant botulism happens when an infant consumes bacteria or their spores, and these grow in the gut. Infant botulism in the U.S. mostly comes from eating honey or corn syrup. The bacteria may also occur naturally in the stool of infants. So the next one is wound botulism. Wound botulism can occur if the organism enters an open wound and produces toxins within the wound. Injection drugs users are at risk for this type of botulism. And inhalation botulism is rare and do not occur naturally. For example, it is associated with accidental or intentional events such as bioterrorism, which results in the release of toxins in the aerosol. And adult intestinal colonization is a rare form of botulism that occurs when the bacterium colonizes the digestive tract of adults. And lastly, iatrogenic botulism can occur through the overdose of botulism or Botox. So the pathogenesis. So botulism disease is caused by the ingestion of C. botulinum spores with subsequent colonization of the gastrointestinal tract, the GI. Spores germinate and produce toxins, which is then absorbed into the circulation. So botulism neurotoxins enter the vascular circulation through ingestion, absorption from colonized wound, or intestine, inhalations, or injection, as we mentioned in the previous slide, and is transported to the peripheral cholinergic nerve terminals, including neuromuscular junctions, postganglionic, parasympathetic nerve endings, and peripheral ganglia. Epidemiology. So, an average of 110 cases of botulism is reported annually in the U.S. Over the past few years, the number of cases of wound botulism have been between 30 and 40%. The median age affected patients is 41 years, with ranges between 23 and 58 years old, and the majority of these affected by this are female. So treatment. There are several treatments. For botulinum, and those treatments include antibiotics, and sometimes antibiotics may work if the case is wound botulism, but these bacteria-killing medications aren't used for other types of botulism. And the next one is anti-toxin. So anti-toxin is the main treatment for botulism. It interferes with the toxin in the bloodstream. This medication can help stop symptoms from getting worse. It also is used to prevent the toxin from causing any more harm. It does not heal the damage that the toxin has already done. And breathing aid. In the case of breathing aid treatment, the patient have to have a seriously affected muscles for breathing. They may need to be hooked up to a machine to help them breathe, or they may be on a mechanical ventilator machine for months if the illness is severe. So, preventions. So, the preventions, there are several preventions used for botulinum prevention. There are several preventions used to prevent botulinum. Those prevention are avoid canning food at home, boil home processed food, don't taste canned food items to test to see if they're still good, and don't give honey or corn syrup to infants under 12 months. So the reason why you shouldn't give honey or corn syrup to infants under 12 months because honey contains a bacteria that produces toxins in the baby's intestines, leading to infant botulism. So food sources. So these are the most common tainted food sources that are caused by the botulinum toxin. This include corn syrup, curd, pork, and ham, home canned vegetables, honey, as I mentioned in the last slide, and raw or smoked fish. So one example, home canned foods are fermented fish and aquatic from Alaska can be sources of the toxin. Botulism do not grow in acidic food with a pH of 4.5 or less. So there are uses of botulinum toxin. So those benefits include Botox. So these injections can help reduce wrinkles, and in a medical sense, they can help eyelid spasms and severe headaches. So this is the peer review article. So 2 randomized controlled clinical trials and 2 non-randomized control studies were used for this experiment. The patients with RLS was treated with botulinum toxin type A to relieve restless leg syndrome, restless syndrome related to symptoms, and RLS stands for restless leg syndrome, as I just mentioned, is a condition that causes an uncontrollable urge to move the legs, usually because of uncomfortable sensations. It typically happens in the evening or nighttime hours when you're sitting or lying down. Moving eases the unpleasant feeling temporarily. So the control group was treated with a placebo. This was done so the control group would be eligible for analysis. And the results, the 3 studies showed short-term improvement, and 1 trial found no significant improvement. And the evidence concluded that botulinum toxin injection may relieve RLS related symptoms. However, decisive conclusions cannot be drawn of the small number of patients included in the meta-analysis. And these are my references.